You know what I find funny? I find it funny that a lot of a lot of the commentary, right? A lot of our media is what it always is they say, hmm, how can I put it? It's a biased media. Um, we've seen that under Biden, and we've seen that under Trump's presidency the first time, right? The media went out of its way to cover for Biden, even when he was declining all his mishaps and missteps. The media went out of their way to make it seem like he was the best thing since sliced bread. And under Trump, the first time, you know, terrible president. That's all you heard. The news, everything, um, everything that he did was wrong. Everything that he said was wrong. They would take his quotes and and turn them into something that they weren't meant to be. Um, and even now under Trump, the coverage is biased as hell, right? He can't do nothing right. You would think that the American people wasn't a fan of the president we voted in, right? Um, you would think that Americans love China more than they loved America. If you watch the news in the morning or in the evening or at night or whenever, right? The coverage is biased as hell. It's crazy. It's crazy the way that, Um, but when it comes to Trump, he is doing something that I like. A couple things, but this is one of the main ones. He's taking his balls back from Benjamin. Because for a while I just figured that, well, it's gonna be another 4 years of Benjamin telling our presidents and leader of the free world what to do. You know what I mean? But seems like Trump has had enough of that bullshit. You coming in, you got Trump pulling your chair out, you got Trump looking weak, man. And I didn't feel like Trump was the type of guy that would allow himself to look weak or controlled. So I'm happy to see that he got his balls back. But you know, but speaking of our media, you know, and that's another the reason why I think the media is doing a complete 180 and going back to what they always on, right? So, like I said before, WNBA season is started and we're back on our race thing, right? So you got RG3 and Ryan Clark going back and forth about race. Um, RG3 made some couple points about Angel hating Caitlyn and being the villain and going back to a couple of her press conferences and things that she has said. But what he failed to mention, what they all seem to fail to mention, is that Angel has been labeled the villain ever since that LSU team won the championship. And she pointed at her ring finger. She's been the villain ever since. She's been hated ever since. She's been, I'm talking about, ever since then, right? But we're going to gloss over that and forget all about that, right? We're going to forget that she's been the victim of, I don't, ain't no telling what her DMs is like. I'm pretty sure what they hate mail like, right? All because she was on a better team. Now, nobody's denying that Caitlyn is the better player. I mean, all around player, better passer, better scorer, better ball handler. You know what I mean? Almost like the superior athlete. All right, you feel me? Because to me, Angel still had when it comes to her game, she still has a lot to work on. Like I was just about to say, her layup game is terrible. You know what I mean? So she need to work on her finish around the basket, finish in the post, a mid range. I know she shoots a couple threes, but she needs to work on her game. You know what I mean? So, but I feel like she's getting caught up in the hype and the Kool Aid of she hears so much. It's only, and I don't know who she got around her, right? So, um, I'm pretty sure she's attacked a lot. I'm pretty sure she's attacked a lot because you are allowed to attack her, right? You're allowed to say whatever you want to about Angel, and people are most likely gonna agree with you as long as it's something negative, right? Because like I always say, you can say anything about a black person, anything about a black person, and people will find a way to, you know, yeah, you're right, you're right, right? But you can't say anything about Caitlyn. White people will tear your motherfucking head out. And it's been set up that way by our media. And it's been set up that way by our media pundits too, right? You got Stephen A, who every now and then he tries to race baits, right? I mean, that's the reason that First Take worked for all this all these years. Him and Skip sitting across the table, arguing back and forth, black dude, white dude dynamic, arguing back and forth with each other about anything and everything under the sun, right? Um, but if you keep it strictly basketball, which they never do, right? Um, I thought you would compare Caitlyn to other point guards in the league, right? People that are people that play her position with her same skill set, right? Um, Angel was a big in the league, so that's like comparing Shaq and Larry Bird. You feel me? But you don't want to do that. You feel me? You never compare. They never compare two white athletes ever. That's why you always hear the Jordan and LeBron, or LeBron and Kobe, or Kobe and Jordan, right? You don't hear Bird and Stockton or no shit like that, or Bird and McHale, or you know what I mean, or Jerry West. You know what I mean? You don't compare white athletes. You don't compare Tom Brady and Joe Montana or Dan Marino. You feel me? Or Drew Brees. You know what I mean? Or Peyton Manning. You feel me? You don't even do that. You don't do that. It's not a thing. You know what I mean? But because if you did that, then it wouldn't be racial. And if it's not racial, then the media is not doing its job in keeping this country divided, right? Because we're supposed to be past that, but we're not past race because race sells. It is what it is. You can try to deny it, whatever. But like I was saying, right? So Ryan Clark got into his little thing about RG3, and everybody's mad at Ryan. You know what I'm saying? But everybody's mad at Ryan now. I don't usually agree with a lot that Ryan Clark says, but he made some valid points. And my thing about RG3 is like, bro, now you a victim, bro. Now he's coming out like he's a victim. Oh, you attacked my wife. Number one, you involved your wife, right? You had her sitting in the background of your podcast while you made your little hit piece, right? You're not stupid. We're not stupid. People can see what you was doing. Come on, bro. You be doing corny shit, right? And to me, sometimes I feel like both of you niggas corny. You feel me? Because, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. You know what I mean? But it's a lot of niggas that do this shit. They pander. You know what I mean? They you feel me? Yeah, you know what I mean? But anyway, but this is what we do, right? We make everything about race. We never keep it about what it's supposed to be about, right? And now in this country, white people are the victim of reverse racism, which is crazy to me. But it is what it is. You feel me? If which is crazy to me because this is the whole. Now I don't know how the whole black fatigue thing started, but this is my point, and this is what I mean when I say the black fatigue shit, right? Because it just proves my point of everything that I always say. You can talk about black people in any kind of way you want. Most of the time, it's in a negative way, right? You try to highlight something negative, right? Because you would never say what RG3 said had to say. You would never say that in reverse if he was talking about a white player. You don't bash white athletes. We don't do that. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that ESPN does, right? Um, I don't know what just happened with I think Justin Tucker or whatever his name is, but that was quietly taken care of. I don't even know what the fuck he got going on, but then he was released quietly, right? And people are like, oh no, that's because he's a kicker. No, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's because he was released quietly. They didn't want to blow that up, whatever the fuck he got going on, right? And they do that because that's their way of protecting their own. Now, in the media, now we don't do that. You feel me? We make each other look like monsters, um, real monsters. Um, we can't wait to we can't wait. You know, it's a lot of us. We want to be that guy, that token guy. We want to be the black guy. We want them to look at us as I'm different from those black people there. You know what I mean? I don't see nobody else doing that. It's a lot of shit that is done that people always try to say that we the only ones that do it. We're not the only ones that do a lot of things, but people always assume that, that's something that black people do. It's not. It's not. That's why I always feel like a lot of you haven't ventured outside of your community a lot. You know what I mean? A lot of you uh, secretly don't like yourself or your community, right? Secretly, you wish you was a part of another community. Probably. I don't know. That's how it comes off to me sometimes. Um, but I could be wrong. You know what I mean? But the bleach cream is selling for a reason, right? You niggas go so hard on other niggas for a reason, right? Listen, one black man don't represent the whole community. Just like one white man don't represent this whole community. Or one Hispanic man don't represent this whole community. Because if you've been outside of your community, you understand that um, just because you don't know the difference between Asians and features, or a lot of people think all black people look alike. You may think all white people look alike. You may think all Hispanics fall under the same umbrella. You know what I mean? Depending on who you are. But if you know any Hispanics, you would know that Cubans and Mexicans are not the same. Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, people from El Salvador, from Brazil, from Portugal, from Spain, from Argentina. You would know that they don't consider themselves the same just because they may speak a similar dialect, right? Haitians, Jamaicans, Bahamians, Black Americans, shit, Africans, Nigerians, Ethiopians. You feel me? Uh, we don't consider ourselves all the same because we're similar in complexion, right? Um, White people from Western Europe, from Sweden, from France, from Canada, here in America, Irish, you feel me? Australia, You know what I mean? I don't I don't think they all consider themselves the same because they're similar in complexion. So that's why I say a lot of shit isn't about race. Some shit is just color. You know what I mean? The darker you are, globally, you're discriminated against. And the lighter you are, people seem to favor you more. It is what it is. Yes. Now that's history. That's been bred in through history. You know what I mean? So um, the media plays a big part in a lot of shit now. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to sports, especially when it comes to everyday life. So if you spend your time in front of the TV, you're gonna look at stuff in a way that's different from when you're out in the work, right? But it is what it is. You know what I mean? But it's crazy how um, people seem to forget. People seem to have short-term memory loss. So we forgot that Angel has been labeled the villain because she was the star of that LSU team. Was she the best player on the LSU team? Probably not. Probably not even the best player on the LSU team. You know what I mean? Um, but she was the star of that team, and because that team beat Caitlin, it stopped her from winning this chip that year because it happened again the year after. South Carolina was stood in the way of her getting the chip, but you don't see them using Cardoza as the villain. You feel me? Shit, that's crazy. Wasn't one of her teammates on one of those teams? You know what I mean? So yeah, um, it's just the way that the media does it. When it comes to when they want to hype up a star, right? WNBA, you don't have to sell your league. If you got that much confidence in your league, you don't have to use race to sell your league. But they're gonna use race to sell their league because they know a lot of those new fans are just there because of Caitlin, and a lot of those new fans don't know nothing about basketball. A lot of those new fans are just racist as hell, right? And we go out our way, the media, and then even social media and its algorithms go out of its way to um, highlight those racists. I would say racist. Yeah, because a lot of these guys, they're not even talking about sports or ball. Because, like I said, Caitlin can hoop. It's not even close if he's talking about skill. You know what I mean? But it's not about skill. They made it about race. And they made it about Caitlin. She's either going to be the hero or the victim, and Angel is always going to be the villain. And she's been the villain ever since 2023, ever since that LSU team won the chip, ever since she pointed at her ring finger. Because it's crazy how this wasn't the problem. When Caitlin was doing that yayo dance, it wasn't a problem because it's hoops, it's basketball. It shouldn't have been a problem. And Angel pointed at her ring finger after LSU beat them shouldn't have been a problem either because it's sports, right? But the media took it and ran with it. Like they do with all black athletes. You can't be like I said, what's going on with Deion and his son? You feel me? You can't be confident. You can't be brash. You can't be cocky. You feel me? They feel like that's only something meant for white athletes. You can't be passionate. You can't be yelling and slamming helmets on the sideline like Tom Brady. Because if you do that, they make you look like Terrell Owens. All right? It's crazy. It's crazy. Because like I said, they don't compare white athletes. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of hate that goes toward LeBron because all they do is compare him to Jordan all the time. And the Kobe fans don't like that. You feel me? So, I mean, come on, man. Shit. John Stockton was good. He hooped back in the day. You feel me? There was a lot of basketball players back in the day that were the white guys that were actually really good players that they don't highlight. You know what I mean? And when they do highlight them, they don't compare them to other white guys. You feel me? So the media know what it's done, what it's doing. You feel me? It's the reason that Stephen A is such a big star. You know what I mean? All he does is talk shit about black guys. You feel me? Because every time someone comes up with some white dude, he don't have nothing to say. It's not the same. His energy is not the same. Everybody see that. You know what I mean? It's not just me talking shit. So if you keep it hoops, it's not even a comparison, right? One, because they don't play the same position, and two, Caitlyn is just a better player. It is what it is. But this shit with Ryan Clark and RG3, it is what it is because RG3, you seen what he was doing. He was pandering. You hear me? And he was being selective. You know what I mean? Or if you're gonna tell a story, tell the whole thing. That's my whole shit. If you're gonna talk about it, tell the whole shit. You feel me? Tell the backstory. She's been the victim. Or Caitlyn has been the victim of Angel Reese ever since she pointed at her ring finger, according to the media. Right? So she's the villain. She's the bad guy. You feel me? And that's how this narrative has been framed ever since. Which is crazy because it's a team sport. And I'm pretty sure if they was playing one-on-one, Caitlyn probably would dominate her. You feel me? Just off skill, right? Better handles. She got a better shot. You know what I mean? But that ain't not towards Angel. She just got a lot of work to do when it comes to her game. She need to work on her shot. She need to work on finishing in the paint. You feel me? That's not me hating. That's just basketball. And if you keep it basketball, it is what it is. But we're not gonna do that. We're gonna keep it race because that's just what we do. And it is what it is. What are you gonna do?